Chapter 397, Bloodlight House Changes. Master Trans Editor Kurisu. What was Dao? It was heaven and earth's origin source, the genuine essence that underpinned the world. By legend, the gods once held the Dao of heaven and earth in their grasp, unmatched beneath the skies, stepping beyond life and death as though those were but shackles to be cast aside. Martial arts, alchemy, and formations were merely three different paths of seeking the origin source, three angles from which to pursue Dao. Yet, as Small Tower had said, Dao begets one begets two begets three, and three begets all things. Mortals were ordinary. Even Ling Han, who had once stood as a heaven tier in his former life, was still only among all living things, struggling to trace the source origin and to seek that three. In martial arts, he was still far from the summit, yet in alchemy, he had already reached the peak stage of heaven grade, 1 foot set upon the road to godhood, qualified to come into contact with the three. But now, within a mere tiny piece of black stone, there was actually the chaos origin source, already touching the level of 2. If one could fully comprehend the chaos source inside this black stone, wouldn't one be able to leap straight into the god realm? As Ling Han spoke, Small Tower immediately trembled in denial and said, "Impossible. There is far too little chaos origin source within this black stone, and it is only a fragment split from the vast chaos origin source. Even if you could completely grasp one of its branches, it would still be unimaginably distant from the chaos source origin. However, I can swallow that shred of chaos origin source and draw out the source power, repairing my body by 1/1000th. That piece of news was like a thunderclap. Ling Han was stunned for only a moment before he blurted out, "You can extract the power of origin source? And the Black Tower is damaged? Even with the power of origin source, it can only be repaired by 1/1000th? Small Tower quivered faintly and said, "It is precisely because I was grievously damaged that I fell to this realm and lost nearly all my memories. Extracting the power of origin source should not be difficult. My instincts tell me I can do it, and they also tell me this piece of black stone is truly too small, so being able to repair 1/1000th is already an optimistic estimate." Ling Han's jaw nearly fell loose. Just what kind of existence was the Black Tower to require the power of origin source for repairs? In this lifetime, would he be able to endure until the day the Black Tower completely recovered? Yet he was only at the spiritual ocean tier and had already obtained a piece of black stone. His fortune was truly heaven-defying. Perhaps the Black Tower could be mended without him even breaking into the God realm. One had to keep an optimistic heart. For now, Ling Han had no intention of handing the black stone over for Small Tower to refine. That chaos intent could temper and harden his own martial intent, especially when he was currently stuck at 7 flashes of sword chi. Part of the reason was precisely that his martial intent was not yet tough enough. He left the Black Tower and brought Hunyu onward toward the core region of the Dark Demon Forest. It was entirely possible that there were more black stones there. After all, the Dark Demon Forest was famed for mists like demonic chi, and the beasts in the core region were all possessed. Terrifying, bloodthirsty things. Before, Ling Han had not understood why, but now that he thought about it, if the black stone had existed there for a long time, it would certainly have influenced the surroundings, and thus influenced the living creatures within. Whether for the crimson-red chilling ice grass, or for the chaos origin source within the black stone, Ling Han had to make this journey. A day later, another stronghold appeared before them. This stronghold was far smaller than the previous one, yet its defensive might had been greatly increased. Spiritual ocean tier martial artists patrolled with weapons in hand, every one of them taut with vigilance. Ling Han considered for a moment and decided to lodge in this stronghold. He walked up and was required to hand over 5 origin crystals. Fortunately, perhaps seeing that Hunyu was too small, they did not collect her ticket fare, letting Ling Han save a bit. The structures here were likewise wooden walls and bamboo houses, only simpler. There was no helping it, for this was the 3rd ring of the Dark Demon Forest. The entire Dark Demon Forest was divided into 4 rings. The first ring was plainly the core region. Under the overwhelming influence of demonic chi, no single force could set foot there. Ordinarily, only flower blossom tier elites dared enter. and even they came and went in haste, not daring to linger. Next came the second ring, the foothold of the Bloodlight House and the Gust Demon Clan. It was also the foremost frontline foothold, often suffering assaults from beasts that surged out from the core region. If one wished to rest and reorganize there, each day would cost 10 origin crystals. Fiery sungrass was found in that area. The danger there was still extremely high, for there was always the chance of running into flower blossom tier beasts that had come from the core region. Ling Han was now in the third ring, and the nearby beasts were already frightening enough. There were spiritual pedestal tier existences. Even martial artists at the spiritual pedestal tier had to tread carefully. One moment of carelessness could mean utter ruin. He brought Hu Niu into a tavern. It was the finest place to gather news. Great news, great news. Bloodlight House has changed hands. What, is it real? Haha, I just came out from the second ring, only 50,000 meters away from the headquarters of the Bloodlight House. It's news I heard with my own ears. How could it be false? Strange, wasn't the head of Bloodlight House in his prime? How did he abdicate? He didn't abdicate of his own will. He was beaten down. Hey, the head of Bloodlight House is a flower blossom tier warrior, an almighty expert who can stand shoulder to shoulder with the heads of Heavenly Silkworm Court, Devour Bone Court, and the Gust Demon Clan. He was actually defeated by someone? Exactly. And it's rumored the one who defeated the head of the Bloodlight House is a Grandmaster of Fists, able to erupt with 10 flashes of fist chi. It took only 19 consecutive punches before the head of Bloodlight House was put down and forced to yield his authority. Hiss. Who was that? That's far too ferocious, isn't it? Don't know. That person is incredibly secretive. He calls himself the Fist Emperor. Fist Emperor? That's quite domineering, isn't it? Listening, Ling Han could not help but feel shaken. Among the four great forces, the Bloodlight House being forced to change masters was no small matter. Just where had this Fist Emperor come from? Possessing not only strength but ambitions that reached to the skies? The title of Emperor was not something to be used lightly. In his former life, only Sword Emperor and Setting Sun Saber Emperor had been called emperors, while he, despite reaching supreme accomplishments in alchemy, was still addressed as the Grand Master of Alchemy. That title represented invincibility within a tier. Sword Emperor, invincible upon the sword path. Saber Emperor, sole supremacy upon the saber path. As for him, he stood at the very peak of alchemy. To call oneself the Fist Emperor would surely draw countless fist experts to challenge him, for if they acknowledged his title, it would be the same as admitting he was number one in the fist path. How could those Grandmasters of Fists endure such a thing? Ling Han rubbed his chin. Should he also proclaim himself some kind of emperor and draw a wave of aggro? It sounded like a rather interesting notion. Your news isn't really new? That was at least a month ago. Someone to the side, unwilling to let the spotlight be stolen, immediately cut in. Now, many figures on the Prodigy roll have gathered at the Dark Demon Forest, and that's the truly sensational event. Why? This immediately stirred the curiosity of many. After all, figures on the Prodigy roll were elites who could become Flower Blossom tier and even Spiritual Infant tier warriors. With so many gathered at the Dark Demon Forest, it could be called a distinguished assembly. It's said a treasure has come into being at the very core of the forest, that person said, putting on an air of mystery. What treasure? Everyone asked in astonishment. Chapter 398, Heavenly Luck Stone. Ranslady, Editor, Kurisu. What treasure? Everyone's eyes lit with curiosity. Treasure. Those two syllables alone were enough to make hot blood surge. What's more, it could even draw the attention of names on the Prodigy roll. Such a thing was plainly priceless. That person gave a low chuckle. The instant he felt every gaze gather on him, vanity swelled in his chest. He went on, "What exactly? I'm not sure, but I heard it's a rock." A rock? Everyone was struck dumb. What was so extraordinary about a mere stone that it could lure so many figures from the Prodigy roll? Ling Han's heart jolted. Could it be the Black Stone? Within, it held the Chaos Origin Source. Yet he immediately shook his head inwardly. That kind of power, even at the peak of his previous life, he couldn't absorb it, let alone a few spiritual ocean tier and spiritual pedestal tier martial artists. Setting everything else aside, He couldn't even withstand the chaos intent within that black stone using his heaven-tier divine sense, and had to depend on the black tower to suppress it. Others were naturally even less qualified. Unless they were as abnormal as who knew. Haha, you're blowing smoke. Since when is a rock worth fighting over? Someone jeered. It really is a rock. I'm not lying to you all. That person swore at once. Martial artist's prized face above all, and being doubted on the spot, instantly made him flustered. Still, most people didn't believe it. What could a rock possibly be worth? That's right. It certainly is a rock called Heavenly Luckstone, someone said. Yes, I remember now. It is called Heavenly Luckstone. The earlier speaker hurriedly echoed. Everyone couldn't help but turn their eyes toward the one who had revealed the Heavenly Luckstone's identity. It was a tall, thin man dressed in pure white. A straw hat shaded his face so his features couldn't be seen clearly. Yet, from the voice just now, this person should be quite young. White-robed sword king, Shen Zhongcheng. Someone trembled as he recognized the treasured sword he had set upon the table. White-robed sword king. 29th place on North Region's prodigy roll. The only one who squeezed into the top 40 with cultivation at the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, utterly heaven-defying. Cries rang out one after another. Though Shen Zhongcheng's ranking wasn't the very finest, not even entering the top 10, he was only at the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. With that cultivation, he could force back 11 first-layer spiritual pedestal tier martial artists. Within the top 40, even the 40th place possessed 2-star battle prowess. The monstrous nature of Shen Zhongcheng could well be imagined. Even Ling Han nodded. If not for the demon birth sword and the thunder battle armor, he could at most wipe out a spiritual pedestal tier expert by relying solely on his own battle prowess together with mysterious 3000. But he was currently at the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, still some distance from the 9th. When his cultivation matched Shen Zhongcheng's, his battle prowess would certainly surpass a spiritual pedestal tier's 2 stars. 4 stars, even 5 stars was possible. Conversely, had Shen Zhongcheng shown all his trump cards? Like Ling Han, the demon birth sword was only revealed at the most critical moments. Perhaps Shen Zhongcheng also carried such a supreme killing implement? In any case, a warrior at the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, being able to contend with spiritual pedestal tier opponents, was unquestionably freakish. And Shen Zhongcheng's current age was only 20. Even Ling Han didn't dare underestimate him. Dare I ask young Master Shen, what manner of treasure is the Heavenly Luckstone? Someone asked with forced courage. Shen Zhongcheng's hallmark was his treasured sword. A white ribbon was tied to its sheath in a butterfly knot. He also wore white robes all year round. However, since he rose onto the prodigy roll, more and more people imitated his attire, and so this man might not truly be the white-robed sword king. Ling Han, however, could be certain he was Shen Zhongcheng, because he could sense the presence of an elite, like a sword drawn from its scabbard, edge bared to the utmost. Heavenly Luckstone, a blessing of heaven and earth. For martial artists at the spiritual pedestal tier and below, refining it into the body means the essence within the stone will display a miraculous effect when breaking through a major tier. It will strengthen one's overall physique, and once one advances into that major tier, one's battle prowess can soar by 4 to 5 stars. Shen Zhongcheng said evenly. Pooh, everyone sprayed out. Under normal circumstances, surpassing 1 to 2 stars of battle prowess was already outstanding. 3 to 4 stars was the realm of true geniuses. Yet the Heavenly Luckstone could directly bestow an increase of 4 to 5 stars. What kind of notion was that? Truly a rare treasure of the world. No wonder it drew so many figures from the prodigy roll. Young Master Shen also came for the Heavenly Luckstone, right? Someone asked. Of course. Young Master Shen is already at the 9th layer of the spiritual pedestal tier. He is clearly suppressing his cultivation, intending to compress it before breaking through. With the Heavenly Luckstone atop young Master Shen's talent, he could possess battle prowess above 10 stars at the 1st layer of the spiritual pedestal tier. However, the Heavenly Luckstone is far too precious. Not only the figures on the prodigy roll, even those who have long made names for themselves would come. What's more, Flower Blossom and spiritual infant tier elites would appear, seizing this chance for their descendants. If those elites appear, then the younger generation will have no chance at all. Even if everyone on the prodigy roll joined forces, they'd still be helpless. Ling Han, however, was thinking about how news of the heavenly luck stone had spread, something so precious. Anyone would hide it. So how had it ended up as though the whole world knew? The answer was soon uncovered. 10 days ago, a small scouting team entered the core region and accidentally discovered the heavenly luck stone. However, a powerful beast guarded it nearby, so they couldn't seize it. They decided that after returning, they would recruit more people before setting out again. Yet this team was an army of malcontents, only temporarily assembled. Greed arose, and 3 brothers from a clan poisoned and assassinated everyone else in the group. All but one person. He was poisoned, but he himself was an expert in poisons. Having a degree of resistance, he didn't die at once and fled to a stronghold, spreading the news before he expired. Thus, everyone throughout the Dark Demon Forest learned of the heavenly luck stone, but as for its exact location, the poisoned man died before he could say, so people only knew it was somewhere in the forest's core region. As a result, the news spread only among those in the Dark Demon Forest. The various major sects hadn't received word yet, but as time passed, it was easy to imagine that waves of elites would arrive. The heavenly luck stone could forge a heaven-defying expert for a sect. It was worth an elder taking action. Ling Han shook his head. First, the crimson-red chilling ice grass, then the mysterious black stone, and now the heavenly luck stone. Was he fated to find no peace on this journey? Shen Zhongchang, never would I have thought to encounter you here. Come out and spar a bit. A voice rang out from outside the tavern. Someone immediately craned his neck to look, crying out, "It's Shadow Weaver Dual Sword Luo Da." Shadow Weaver Dual Sword? 42nd place on the prodigy roll? The gap is far too big, isn't it? No. That was the ranking a year ago. I heard Luo Da has already advanced into the spiritual pedestal tier and defeated several famed experts at the second layer of the spiritual pedestal tier. No wonder he dares to issue a challenge.